Easy now. Papa got things making headlines.
Come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. I'ma have to cut you off, like right now. You see, I don't want to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they ain't finna change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by The Athletic. Shout out to the company. My name is Michael-Shawn and I'm here with my co-host, Christopher Kidd. Make sure you follow us both up on the tweet machine. You guys know where to follow me. That's at Mike Dugar. That is MikeDugar. Shout out to all of our subscribers on YouTube as well. Our Seahawks channel on YouTube is Seahawks Man to Man. That's the number 2 man, Seahawks Man to Man on YouTube. Chris, talk to him.
What is good, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKid206.
All right, I am coming to you from a poorly lit hotel room in downtown Detroit after the Seahawks beat the Detroit Lions in a shootout, 48-45 in Week 4, to improve to 2-2 on the season and avoid losing a third straight game, which would have been very bad for this team. A very eventful day, as Chris and I had talked about before we pressed the red record button. Chris, can we start with some love for Geno today? Let's start with the offense today because we started with them last week as well. And the point we were making is that there's a difference between the quarterbacks who like just keep you in games and the ones who can keep you in and then go win you the game, and I think that difference is subtle. Because anybody can do it every once in a while. Like Kirk Cousins goes out and wins a game for his team every once in a while. Derek Carr, Carson Wentz has done it. But those guys don't like consistently do it. And because it's hard to do. It's hard to win, right? Like Russell consistently does it. Tom Brady, he's the GOAT, greatest of all time, because he's consistently done that. I don't think Brady's the most talented quarterback ever, but you can count on him to go win your team the game, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, a lot of these guys, you give them the ball and it's time to go win, they can go win, whether that means because special team sucks or because the defense sucks or there's no run game. It's like, hey, quarterback, something has hit the fan. You need to be the guy today because we need it for whatever reason. It could be any of those things that I just mentioned. For the Seahawks, they've had a few of those issues over the years, and Russ has been able to, to bail them out. Russ has been able to play terrible and then have a magical fourth quarter drive and they win 13-6 or something like that. And Russ has been in some shootouts where the defense is a knife through butter, hot knife through butter, and he's had to score 45 or whatever, or 40 or 30 or whatever to win games. Done a little bit of everything. But either way, it was like, all right, I can go win you, a game. Geno, for the first time as a Seahawk, went out there and this is probably the first time, because I'm sure you would agree that as crazy as it sounds, the Seahawks won a game because they had Geno Smith. This is the Geno game for me. I know Rashad Penny had some big numbers as well, but this was the game where it was very clear. The offense knew, hey guys, every time we touch it, we need to score.
Yeah.
And not 3. We'll take 3, but we need 7. And there was a lot of pressure on them to score every drive in the second half, pretty much. And they delivered, man. I got to give some kudos to Geno there because I know that you got to adjust for who the opponent was. The Lions defense is pretty horrendous, especially without Tracy Walker. But still, you can only play who's on your schedule. And boy, I was very impressed with Geno today. He didn't need to have a game-winning drive, quote unquote, but just to consistently go out there and just light it up, drive after drive after drive. Situation after situation after situation with his legs, through the air, intermediate, deep, against the blitz, whatever. Did a little bit of everything today, man. This was probably the best Geno we've seen.
I was going to say this is probably the best Geno game he's ever played, to be completely honest, from passing yards, touchdowns, and you touched on him doing everything, running the football. We saw him make audibles, changes it, ends up being a touchdown. That was a Rashad Penny run on 3rd and 21, 3rd and a mile. He's like, switch it up. We're going to run it here. He sees
Yeah,
the gap,
third
and
and 16 that was.
third,
Yeah.
okay, it's 3rd and 16. He sees the gap that he wants to attack. Rashad Penny shot out like a cannon, touchdown. That's Geno Smith changing the play. That is someone that is confident in running Pete's offense, going out and changing things when he sees fit, and doing it comfortably, not having to hesitate. And that is something you want to see. And we talked about off wax about Geno beating on this Detroit Lions team. That's something you want to see. You would praise any quarterback in the league for going out and destroying a bad team. Anybody. We should do the same for Geno, and that's why we have on the bottom, Geno played lights out. For those listening, yeah, we just put a little on the screen graph. It just says Geno played lights out, but he did everything he needed to do for this team to win. And as you said, the Seahawks won on Sunday because of Geno Smith, because he played at a high level, because he was making incredible throws. His first touchdown to Will Dissly, wow, that was perfect. You can't draw it up any better. Basically uncontested. The DB didn't know what was happening. Next thing you know, Will Dissly's in the end zone. Touchdown. That's what you want to see from him. And as long as that continues, man, would it be interesting to see what this team can do. That is the biggest goal right now. Can they continue to do this consistently? Because what we saw against the Lions is definitely a nod for, okay, that was good. I like the fact that the Seahawks had 14 explosive plays. 14. Yeah,
that's a lot.
That is a lot, and they did it in different ways. They ran it 7 times explosive, and I think you said 2 of those were Geno scrambles or just runs and all together, and the other 7 were passes. And guess what? DK was involved in that. He had 10 catches for $147. He didn't score a touchdown, but it was the fact that they were feeding him. Geno sees one-on-one over there with the corner, with the Lions' number 1 corner. Doesn't matter. We have DK. I'm going to throw it up. What does DK do? He makes it play. And he did that constantly over and over again. And it was good seeing this Seahawks offense rolling on all cylinders and just attacking, doing everything they want to do. You could see how fired up Pete was in the presser. He really was happy that he was able to prove that, yeah, we can do it. And one thing that was crazy to me was how much they were throwing the ball. Usually the Seahawks aren't throwing it this much. But against the Lions, they ran it well, and they also threw it well. And a lot of that is to Geno. Shout out to the offensive line. Didn't give any sacks on Sunday against the Lions. Charles Cross, I thought, played good outside of a couple holding penalties. Abe Lucas, what more can you ask for from 2 rookies that are playing at a really high level in the NFL?
Yeah, this was the Detroit defense is bad, but what it does, in particular with the defensive coordinator, who's probably catching some hell, I would imagine, on the other side of things right now, is the defense. They pressure a lot, right? And they pressure from a few different looks. So what pressure does as a quarterback, and as an offensive coordinator, it forces you to have answers. That's what they force you to do, and they force you to have answers very fast. Because when you sit if they drop 8 people, like a really good example is like the Bengals against the Chiefs last year in the playoff game. In the second half, I think mostly actually the whole game, the Bengals basically were just dropping 8 people into coverage and just forcing Mahomes to have answers that way, just sitting there and waiting to see if he could come up with an answer, get impatient, start forcing throws, and then see if they could get home with like 3 and 4 guys rushing. Well, when you blitz, you have to think about it now, and you really have to have it pre-planned, on how you're going to attack some of that stuff. And some quarterbacks are better at that than others. Like PFF and True Media do a good job of like tracking quarterback stats when they're pressured and when they're not. And you look at some quarterbacks and like their numbers just go to shit. And some of the good ones, they are really good. Like Josh Allen has established right now, like if you blitz him, you're cooked. Whereas last year, like Lamar Jackson really struggled against the blitz in some games. Like remember that Thursday night game against the Dolphins, who blitzed the hell out of him and he just stunk. Some Mahomes, don't blitz him. Like there are just some quarterbacks who've kind of figured that out. Doug Baldwin would talk about it all the time. It's like, if you guys cover 0, which is just an all-out blitz with man-to-man behind it, you do that, we are going to score points. And that's continued with Geno. But you can't just do it. It's not you don't always have a play drawn up for a blitz, right? You have to kind of know when it's coming, know exactly how you want to attack it and execute it, right? So an example today, you mentioned the draw play to Rashad. I'll use the 34-yarder to Tyler as an example.
Beautiful.
It's a great pitch and catch. Because what happens is, I'm pretty sure Detroit shows like a too high look. I'd have to go back. I'm pretty sure they do. Pretty sure they showed like a too high look. and then they send the pressure late. And so it's not like they just lined up. And it was like 2nd and 10, I think, too. So it wasn't like an obvious passing situation. So you have to recognize that that's going to be their pressure. Okay, either you check into something like you change the call, or you fortunately kind of anticipate their tendencies and you have something called up already for that. And then as a quarterback, you're like, all right, do I got the right protection set? Make sure my running back knows that, all right, you got this dude, everybody, slide the protection one way or the other if you need to. Then you got to execute the throw, knowing somebody's about to hit you in the face. Like that's a very tough situation to consistently do. Blitz, if you're an aggressive team, I think the Lions blitz at like the 3rd highest rate in the league, something that's probably going to stay consistent by the time week 4 is over because they blitzed a lot today. When you do that, you're basically like, all right, we're about to either give up a touchdown or we're about to get a really big play for our defense. It's like feast or famine, really dangerous way to play. It's super. I would like to play that way. I think we talked about that last year after an episode 1, saying the Seahawks might have to try that shit.
Yeah, their defense was not. They weren't getting any pressure. It was by week 5 they had like 2 sacks.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
and that is a way to solve that issue. Like it's not really sustainable. You really need the certain guys for that. Like you need corners who can cover on the back end because you're basically leaving them, by themselves. But like that's example of a play where it's like it's a 34-yard pass. Obviously, it's a bomb. It's a great play, but it's like it's specifically having answers for what the other team was drawing up. Same thing as you mentioned on 3rd and 16 after the play was blown dead. Something I don't know what they said on the broadcast about that, but it was very clear to me in the press box that the play was blown dead before they ran it. Like you could see the ref closest to which sideline would that be? I think that was Detroit's sideline. The ref on Detroit's sideline was waving, and that's why Geno just threw it in the dirt. So I don't know what they debated about for so long, but it was obvious to me that they blew it dead for whatever reason. Anyway, after that play, though, they show pressure, and Geno checks into that 3rd and 16. Now, that's credit to Geno. That's probably credit to Shane or one of the coaches, because I know every week or every day, I believe they have like pressure meetings. Like I remember Austin Blythe was actually just talking to me about that this week. He was saying they meet, like they have pressure meetings, they have run meetings, they have like just meetings for just certain parts of the game, and Shane's in there. So I think that was something Shane probably cooked up, and Geno recognized like, oh, Shane said when they do that, we do this. All right, bet. Like that's some elite shit, and they needed all of that too. Like,
yeah,
that 3rd and 16 at the time was you could feel how big that was because
if they don't score, if they don't get anything, they were down 3.
What was the score at the time? They were up.
I think it was 38-31 actually.
No, I got it. It was 31-23.
31-23. Okay,
correct. And they were at the 36. So if let's say they just throw incomplete or something, that's a 54-yard kick.
And he had already missed one earlier.
Right. So it's either you only get 10 or you only get 3 on that drive, or you get nothing, and the other team is only down 8 and cooking. So that was a very big moment to get 7 there. And there were some other throws too. There was a couple of DK ones over the middle in the first half that were just money. Like you said, the back shoulder to Will was money. One of those fade balls to DK was pretty money. Like just some really just like precise stuff. I was telling somebody after the game, somebody, not a beat writer, just somebody in the stadium, we were talking. I was like, it's not an accident he leads the league in completion percentage. He actually is a very accurate thrower. Now, the reason I call this game his most impactful game, because nobody gives a damn if you're dinking and dunking the ball up the field and your team doesn't score any points, which is what was happening through 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He was first in completion percentage through 2 weeks, but like dead last in air yards per attempt. So
yeah, 5.2 or something.
It was like 5.2, but he was like completing 80% of his passes. It's like, my man, that means you need to start throwing the ball a little further.
Throw it forward, my friend.
Well, now through 4 weeks, Geno is up to 14th in air yards per attempt. He's been slinging it the past few weeks, and his accuracy has not dipped. He's not putting the ball in harm's way that much. He had a couple against the Falcons that were a little risky. But like he's protected the ball, but still pushed it, downfield, which is kind of what you have to do, in a Pete Carroll offense, which is why Russ was so good at it. Like Geno today was able to take advantage of all those 1-on-1 matchups that DK had, which wasn't many. You know what? Aaron Glenn is probably getting cooked today. That's the Lions defensive coordinator. But Chris, you remember during the week, DK said,
they have safety over the top.
Yeah, because he got presented the question. DK did. Somebody said to him, DK, Jeff Okudah has locked down 3 good receivers this week.
Yep.
This season. What have you seen from him? And DK was like, he's had a safety over the top of him. He ain't
Still a good player.
down, but he's still a good corner. And Aaron Glenn, I believe, according to one of the guys who covers the Lions, responded to that by saying, I mean, yeah, that's football. You know, like he didn't say DK was lying or anything, but he was just like, that's how football goes, you know? And I went back and watched the film of the Justin Jefferson game plan. And yeah, they did have safety over the top. And I was like, you know, they probably should have. And it worked because Justin only had 3 catches for 14 yards. And then you watch this game and you're like, oh, that's why there was a safety.
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn was on to something there.
Yep.
Aaron Glenn was on to something because when you don't have safety help and you leave Jeff Okudah by himself,
it was a first down every time.
It was some big plays over there.
I can't wait to go back and watch. I'm gonna count how many times Okudah was over there against DK and how many times it was an explosive play. I feel like almost every catch was explosive. If you do the math, 147 divided by 10, damn near 15 yards of grab, baby. That's
yeah. No, it was. No, he was. Man, Aaron Glenn probably sitting there like, see, that's why I give help. That's why I give my guys some help. And but you can't do that every time. And the time that you don't, you know, credit to Shane and Geno,
make you pay
for recognizing when they're going to get those shots and then being accurate. You know, like Geno had a couple against AJ Terrell of the Falcons with DK. Like one of them last week, he just underthrew a go ball where DK had him beaten. AJ just batted it down. You know, like that was an inaccurate ball. Nah, none of that today, man. And the players probably won't admit it because they don't want to shit on the defense, but they know when the defense is getting carved up. You know what I mean? Like I remember Russ kind of saying last week or I think 2 years ago that remember when they came out really hot on offense to let Russ cook here and the defense was just bad. You know, Russ had to score 30 every week just to have a shot. Russ never wanted to admit like, oh yeah, no, I know this guy stinks, so we got to put up 30. It is what it is. You know, like he can't ever say that. That's fine. He can feel it in the game, though.
Yeah.
What the Lions scored. I know Geno and those guys knew when they got the ball. It was like, oh, all right,
we got to score.
We need 7. We need 7 right here. They could feel that, man, and they just kept executing. Yo, Chris, they were 9 of 12 on 3rd down today.
Nah,
that's insane.
It was almost a perfect game for the Seahawks offense. That's how good they played. Almost a perfect game. If you could rank them. If you were to give them a grade out of 10, I'd give them 8.5, 9. That's how well they played offensively today. Outside of a couple of penalties here and there, they played a hell of a football game offensively. They did what they wanted to do. The run game started off a little slow, but Kenneth Walker, he was the spark. He came in, got a few carries, and then they brought Rashad Penny back in the second half, and Rashad took the torch and ran with it. After that, it was done. They did everything they wanted to do. They executed well. The game plan, everything they studied on film, it worked out for them, and they used it against the Lions, and they were able to get the win because of a hot offense.
Yeah, hot offense led by a court. Like I was telling somebody before, like a fun exercise when watching the NFL game sometimes is to just like ignore, pretend you don't know what year anybody is. You don't know how much anybody makes, right? Just watch the game. Just pay attention to the jersey numbers. Like, oh, I think I like what 13's doing on that play or something like that. You would have watched today's game and been like, dang, how much they paying 7? He must be making a lot of money. Like if you just watch the game, like 7 must be making a lot of money. Like that's what you would think, and not like the $3.5 million or whatever that he's making. Like, nah, this is kudos to him, man. We were very critical of, not critical, but just like pointing out, like
just being honest.
Yeah, a Pete Carroll quarterback can have a ceiling where it's just like, all right, your quarterback has to be the point guard. That's what Pete likes to say. Like, just get it to the guys, yada yada yada. Okay, cool. But sometimes Chris Paul point guards for 3 quarters and then scores 20 in the 4th. You know what I mean? Because it's winning time. You know, like that happens a lot. LeBron does the same thing. Like being the point guard is fine, but sometimes you're gonna have to just get a bucket. You know, like a lot of Seahawks fans in this area are like Dame Lillard fans. They know, they've seen Dame do it all the time. Sometimes Dame's like, I gotta score 50 just for us to win by 2. You know, for whatever reason, and that's fine. That's what Geno had one of them games today where he would tap his wrist like Dame do instead of Dame time, it was Geno time. Yeah, credit to him, man. Like that's really impressive. Credit to Rashad Penny as well, man. Like he knew. Rashad knew. It's funny. I talked to him during the week. We were just, and not for like an interview thing, but I told him, I just kind of came up out of nowhere in the locker room today. Or one of the days, I was like, man, I feel like you got a big run coming. Now, it was not because I picked up Rashad in fantasy, although I did do that. And then I did not play him. But I just felt it. I was like, yo, you're breaking a lot of runs and they're either getting called back or you're getting like tripped up by somebody. I was like, if you got a couple in you, he's like, I know. Like, he's like, last year I was like that. It's coming. It's coming to get, just watch. Like, if they just keep giving me the ball, it's going to come. And like you said, Chris, first half, it was not there.
No, it wasn't.
It was not there at all. Geno was the leading rusher through the first half. Rashad had like 8 yards in the first half.
They said, K double triple three. And we need you to get something going because it ain't working right now. And Kenneth comes in, makes a few plays. Second half rolls along. He's back. Rashad Penny's back in the game. And you see, ooh, okay. 8-yard gain. Ooh, okay. 10. Ooh, he breaks one. He got tripped up, though. And then after that, Rashad Penny was in a groove.
When he gets to second level, man, he does have some different speed. Like, he is.
Didn't you run like a 4.5, 4.4, or 4.4?
I can't remember what he ran. I think he was also a little heavier at the time when he ran. I'd have to go back and look. But I just know when he gets in open space, he can really hit it too. Like, and there's a certain type of run that he likes too that he can hit. We were talking a little bit about that as well. But yeah, I shout out to credit to him as well. Like the things are clicking. This was like everything Pete Carroll would really want. It's not just be a game manager, let the defense do its thing, rely on the run game, hit play action shots. No, man. Sometimes it's going to be like 3rd and 8 or whatever. Your defense stinks. There's no run game. Can you convert? And Geno was like, sure, I'll just run for 11 yards.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference between like being a quarterback you win with and a quarterback you win because of. And like you said, Chris, the question on offense is, can you continue that? The answer is probably no, because you can't play the Lions every week. And that Saints defense is real that they're about to play next Sunday. But we'll deal with that later in the week. The other question on the other side of the ball is, good God, Chris, what is going on the defensive side of the ball, man? There's no way a Jared Goff-led team without Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, and DeAndre Swift should score 45 points, and then TJ Hawkinson be the reincarnation of Calvin Johnson. That was crazy.
If you want to have a career day as an offensive player, play against the Seahawks. Cordell Patterson, Atlanta Falcons, what does he do? He has a career day on the ground running the football. Oh, a tight end, TJ Hawkinson, pretty damn good tight end. Want to have a career day? Leave it up to the Seahawks secondary. They will give you a shot. And boy, did he live up to the expectations. TJ, that is, had a great game. Seahawks couldn't stop anything. Nothing. They were just out there for exercise, just run up and down the field. That's what they did on Sunday. Just run up and down the field, try to make tackles. It wasn't good at all. I don't know where you can make changes because it was that bad. You got to think about it. To make change, someone has to take someone else's spot. Who behind? I don't know, Mike. It was bad all around. There wasn't anything that stood out. Actually, Tariq Woolen, my bad. Pick 6. Thank goodness for Tariq. If they don't get that pick 6, I don't know if we're talking about a Seahawks victory 48-45. It's that close. Geno, to be honest, he played so well, he might have been able to lead them to a game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, or maybe I would have been confident in him leading them on a game-winning drive, yeah.
But that's hopefully, that means Jared Goff doesn't score too quickly. Maybe they choose some clock because at this point, they score whenever they wanted to. To end the third quarter, Hawkinson catches it and goes 81 yards.
Yeah, that was tough, man.
Cody, what do you tackle him, bro? What are you doing?
81 yards from a tight end that ain't Kyle Pitts that's pretty rough, man, because tight ends ain't that
fast. Like, there's only like 3 dudes, and you name one, Kyle Pitts. The other dude, I forget his name. Geno Smith, hella fast. He bounced around the league. It's not like he's nice like that. He's fast. I mean, maybe you could say George
Darren Waller's.
Is he fast though?
Nobody should run for 81 yards.
To your point,
on you like that. I don't even know who caught Hawkinson on that. I can't even remember.
It was such a bad play. It don't even matter. He shouldn't have got 81. It shouldn't have been 70 plus yards after the catch. Let's just start there.
Yeah, I thought
it was gonna be a routine tackle. He gets pushed out of bounds. I'm watching. Yo, this man is still running. I said they're not going to end this quarter, and they're going to start the fourth quarter down at the 5. What do you know?
Yeah, that was so. Here's the thing on the defense. It was such a weird game for them because they came out and got a 3-and-out, I believe,
Oh, that was
and then
positive.
got another 3-and-out. I think they got 2 back-to-back 3-and-outs. But then they muffed a punt. I think
Tyler Lockett fumbled. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they did get 2 stops, but then muffed a punt, and then they gave up a touchdown on that. Tyler dropped the or I guess that's not
No,
a
it's a
muff.
fumble. No,
He was returning it.
he
Yeah,
had
so it's a fumble.
possession, and then he was running, fell, and the ball got punched out. He actually fumbled, as you
Yeah.
said on Twitter. Tweeted out. It's very rare that you see that from Lockett. It is very rare. He doesn't fumble.
Yeah, so the defense starts pretty well. The touchdown to Hawkinson, the first one was I think that was on Jordan. I think he's supposed to carry that up.
Supposed to carry that, yeah.
Yeah, supposed to carry that play up the sideline in that particular coverage because Tariq's already occupied with whoever he was following. I think it was like Reynolds or something. So Josh Reynolds, I think is his name. So that happened, and then they kind of buckled down a little bit. Detroit didn't convert a third down until the second quarter. That the Seahawks third down defense was good. You see, they went back to that dime look with Ryan Neal, where they had on third down they have 4 linemen, and then they pull Cody off the field, Cody Barton that is, and bring on Ryan Neal. Basically, use him like another linebacker. They went back to that look. That look was really helpful for them. Last year to fix their third down defense, but that didn't really yield dividends. Really, they gave up some stuff. Kobe had a play where he gave up one. I think Josh Jones gave up some. It just didn't. They were flip flopping Michael Jackson and Sidney Jones. Mike played a bunch of drives, but then randomly Sidney Jones would be in on some drives. I'm trying to identify a trend there. My thought, I think, if I go back and look, is that Sidney played in like more obvious passing drives, like with 2-minute situations and stuff like that. And then Mike played in a lot of like just normal situations, which maybe suggests that they trust Mike maybe better against the run of the two corners.
He's a damn sure good tackler.
Which makes sense. He's a very physical corner. So that's the thought I'm doing in my head. No one told me that. I'll report it and figure it out. But that was my thought. And it was effective. And then they got the pick 6. I was like, oh. I think
they got a fumble too earlier. Shout out Kobe punching it out.
First a fumble. Like they were doing some things. They were forcing punts. They were getting pressure. They were getting turnovers. I was like, this is it. The defense has turned a corner. This is it. The dime package, less of Darryl Taylor on early downs in favor of Daryl Johnson, who left the game in a boot, unfortunately. Like they had a plan. It looked like it was working. Got Shelby Harris back. That was effective. And then it just went downhill. Fast, real fast. And I thought Quandre made some good points after the game, where he said, he's like, we just got to get guys on the ground. That is part of it. But in the run game, it's not even, there are holes. There are holes in the defense. There are some issues there. Jamal Williams, 51-yard run. Josh is the only guy who gets a shot at him. Josh Jones, that is. That is really, really, really tough. And there wasn't like a ton of pressure on Jared Goff today. I think they got him a few times, but like he wasn't under like a ton of duress. He stood in there and made some throws. What did Jared throw for today?
Damn near 400 yards, isn't it? Shoot.
378 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Jared Montana.
And then he ran like a 2-point conversion in. I think he threw a 2-point conversion in. He did. He threw one to Hawkinson. Yeah,
check this out, Mike. Do you remember the Lions' 5th possession in the first half? They started off with a holding, then they run it for 7, then they get another holding penalty. Brings up 3rd and I think it was like 3rd and 20. They throw it to the white dude Kennedy, who comes across the field for a first down, and they go and score on that drive.
Oh, yeah. I think it was like 2nd and like 23.
That makes sense. Yeah, I just said holding. They run it for 7, another holding play, so I'd make it 2nd down. So, yeah, it was like 2nd and 22.
And then they just converted, right after that.
Yeah, Cody didn't drop deep enough, kind of what we alluded to last week. It was against the Falcons. It was 3rd and 19, and I forget the wide receiver's name, but he comes running across he has a corner route, and the linebackers don't sink farther enough. Neither does Tariq, but here again, Cody's in the same scenario pretty much where he didn't sink deep enough, And you could feel he wasn't sure. When I watched the replay, I could tell he was thinking, damn, am I not deep enough? And then at the last second, he realized, oh, shoot, receiver right behind me. Those are things that they have to fix. You cannot give up explosive plays like that. That can't happen. It's 2nd and 20. Keep everyone in front of you and go rally. It should be that simple. I know they call defensive, they might call a play for you to run. Just don't let nobody get behind you, bro. You got to know that. You got to be aware of where the sticks are. And just watching the replay, just thinking, Cody, you're supposed to be further back. Because that, to be honest, that could have been another interception. If Cody dropped where he got the depth he needed to, you're going to get a pick. And if not, they're going to throw it short, and you just got to rally to the football. And that was just a couple of things that stood out. I'm sure we can go through multiple times during the game because they put up 45 freaking points. Clearly, there was a lot of mishaps, missed tackles, guys not in their areas. But that was one thing that stood out to me. 2nd and 20. And you give up
23 in particular.
2nd and 23, and you give up a huge first down. Those are things that you got to get rid of. The fact that the Lions completed that says a lot too, but it was an issue last week against the Falcons. We saw that. Mariota dropping back, 3rd and 19, no biggie. First down. Jared felt the same way.
Yeah, and that's a tough play in particular, just because I see what Cody's seeing. Because he has Hawkinson right in front of him. So you can tell he's trying not to, he's sitting on that, but then Jared leaves the pocket, and he doesn't get more depth on that, and then it just becomes it's
a mess.
Yeah, that's a tough one. The defense, here's the thing, the title that we have on the bottom of the screen says defense need help, because they do. I don't think this is no longer and we'll get into it with some of the Twitter questions as well, but I don't think this is any longer how do I want to put this? Just simply asking guys to play better. And I mentioned this last week as well. I don't know how feasible that is. Like, some guys are just going to play better. It's just how it works. But it's like, okay, which guys and how much better? Those are questions I don't have answers for, because it's not being able to tackle is one thing. Like the Niners game, it looks a little bit more like an aberration in some regards. Like they just didn't tackle very well in that game. And then the Falcons game was like, oh, you guys don't even have a chance to tackle because guys are just running free. And in this game, it's like, okay, guys are running free and they're catching the ball, and then no one's near them. Or they make one person miss, and then it's a goner. I think Jared Goff averaged like 6.1 yards after catch per completion today. Now, a lot of that helps having the big 81-yarder or whatever, but like it wasn't all of the 81-yarder. Like there were guys getting a lot of yards after their catches today. I mean, even that dude on the little Kennedy guy who catches the one you're talking about on that 2nd and 23, he doesn't catch the ball at the sticks. He catches the ball short of the sticks
and gets the first.
like 5 yards short, and then gets like another 9 after
That's
that.
bad.
Yeah, no, I think this is when John Snyder and his guys kind of look across the league and say, okay, is there any competent defensive guys who hate their team? For real, because that's how they've been getting a lot of guys. That's how they got Dwayne Brown. That's how they got Carlos Dunlap. That's how they got Jamal Adams.
See if they can bring Carlos back. Shoot, I don't know if he hates the team, but man.
Well, I'm watching the Chiefs game right now. He's fine over there. The Chiefs. They got him rushing. He's trying to get 100 sacks. I think he's going to get it this year. Probably. He's been a good pass rusher.
Good for him.
The pass rush is not really. It's like it's okay. But not like
Mike, you're generous, bro. I don't know if it's okay. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I gotta be real.
Statistically, they're getting pressure. I
need sacks.
No, I hear you. I mean, with pressure, the pressure numbers will bring the sacks. I'd have to look here. Let me look at what the pressure numbers look like. It's not great, but I don't think they're like the years past where it's just like, oh, okay, you guys need to trade for someone now. Like they are.
You can't wait though. If they got goals to win it,
they're 28th in pressure percentage.
I'm you see it. You're just being nice, and that's okay. Sometimes, Mike, you can't be nice.
Well, I like to compare some of that stuff to the rest of the league too. Like,
no, that makes sense.
They're 22nd in sacks with 7. They are 25th in quarterback hits, and they are 28th in quarterback pressure. So yeah, that's bad. That's objectively a bad pass rush team. So Yeah, they need some help there because I don't think you can just ask for more guys to play better. I think we're already back at the point of last year where it was like maybe they should just start being aggressive, you know,
Blitzing.
and being more aggressive because I think let me check where they are in blitz rate. They are let's see, the Giants blitz the most at 42%, which is nuts. And the Seahawks are 22nd at 20%. So maybe that's the answer. Maybe you get that number up to in the 30% range where you're sending some more pressure. Then it's that who you sending, without Jamal, so they have I mean, I guess you can send Kobe. Yeah, he's been effective. Cody Barton.
Ryan Neal.
Yeah, Ryan blitzed a little bit today. He did force Jared Goff out of the pocket a little bit. So yeah, they need some help, man. They do. And I know those guys in there trust themselves and their teammates to figure it out as they should, and I understand why they do. We do not have that same blind faith. I think they'll turn some of it around. Like I said, I think some guys are just going to start playing better, for sure, especially a lot of the younger guys. But again, which guys and how much better? And how long will it take? So that's it's gonna be a lot of questions. Those are two how many questions is that? Which guys? How much better? How long will it take? Those are three very important questions that I just don't have answers to. On after week 4.
Well, speaking of answers, we got a lot of Twitter questions, and maybe you can provide some answers. And we might as well just stick with the theme and kick things off with the defense because, boy, defense wasn't good. So, what side of the Seahawks defense should fans be worrying about the most? D-line, linebackers, or secondary? And this is from Young Slick X.
I really think it's all of it, man. I really there's players at every level giving up big plays in the run game, in the pass game, because the pressure's not there, and then the penetration isn't there in the run game, and then in the run game, guys aren't getting off blocks, and then if they're getting off blocks, they're not making the tackles. It's just like every level has guys who gave up big plays today. And who gave up big plays the day before, like whether it's a Josh Jones giving up a big play, like Josh was responsible for, Josh had a missed tackle against the Falcons that resulted in a touchdown. The Drake London play, you can't have that. That's a secondary thing. Then Josh missed the tackle against Jamal Williams today. That's a 50-yard touchdown. So like that's at the secondary level. You got, I think Jordan was responsible for one of the touchdowns against the Niners off of miscommunication. Jordan was also responsible for the Hawkinson touchdown in the first quarter. You got Cody Barton missed the tackle on the TJ Hawkinson big play. There's just a lot of big plays that are just happening at all levels. And then again, the pressure's not there from the front. So then these quarterbacks have time and they're not blitzing that often. It's just everything. It's just ticking down. It really is every level of the defense. And that's why I think there needs to be some reinforcements brought in. This is the time where you look around the league and see what you can do because there's not, if it was one level, there's ways to work around like that. Okay, our linebackers aren't strong. How can we work around that? Okay, our secondary is not holding up, but if the front is solid, we can work around that. It's like there's not really a workaround when you can't work around the whole 3 levels, and you can't do that in the course of just 1 week either. Like they're off. They're basically got meetings Monday, so there's no practice. Tuesday they're off. They're not really going to get on the field to get together again until Wednesday and Thursday. And then they're going to travel Friday to go to New Orleans. So that's a short day. There's like a walkthrough kind of practice. So there's not a lot of time to figure things out too. So that's tough. So yeah, I think every level is concerning legitimately. That's the bad news after this game.
This is from Headlines at Punistan. To blame for these defensive struggles, what do you do here? Play calling by Clint or Pete, or is it execution by the players?
Yeah, I think the play calling itself, I think is fine. Like they ran some stuff today that Detroit had some good beaters for, like a play that is specifically drawn up to beat what you do. Like they had some cover 3 beaters. They had some middle of the field beaters. They had some stuff drawn up. Like even that play you talked about, Chris, the where Kennedy comes across. Like if you can make it across the field that way, it's a good beater for like a too high look because Michael Jackson, they had a bunch of underneath stuff that kind of held Michael Jackson and Cody, and you sneak a route behind him, if you have the time in the pocket. So like they had some good stuff drawn up. Detroit is a good offensive team, so some of it was just execution. I don't think they really necessarily got out schemed in a lot of it, not at least in ways that I can break down immediately after the game without watching the film. I really do think that a lot of this is guys not playing well. that is really like legitimately just getting beat by the guy across from them, or missing an assignment, or missing a tackle, or not getting off a block, or not being in a gap. It's a little bit of everything. And I really don't think I felt a little bit of what was going on week 3 was a little bit of scheme stuff, particularly with how they were playing some of their fronts. They were showing really light fronts and then just get the ball ran on them a lot. That was an issue. But today, I was like, nah, dog. I just think guys are not playing well, and like guys is giving up stuff. Like even like Kobe got beat on a couple things, and then made up for with like a fumble. I mean, Tariq had the great pick 6, but also got beat on like a back shoulder, near the goal line. I think it was like Reynolds or something like that. Like everywhere, they just got plays. Even when they went into their prevent defense today, Lions went like 75 yards, they scored a touchdown. It's really concerning everywhere. I don't think it's a play calling thing though. I think that you can't play call around players who don't play well. That's the issue.
This is from the homie Ralphie Davis at I'm Ralphie Davis, local rapper in Seattle. Appreciate the love here. What's the word on Trey Brown? Is he coming back soon?
I would not say soon. I think the earliest we probably see Trey is probably like week 7, 8, maybe 8. It's probably gonna be a few more weeks, and the competition at cornerback is probably gonna stay opened up. At least at left corner, as we mentioned earlier, Mike Jack and Sidney were flip-flopping. Probably got to throw Artie Burns in that competition as well. Maybe see if you can try Kobe Bryant over there, just because the consistency is not there from down to down. Corners are going to get beat. That's kind of what happens, but you have to make up for it with some more splash plays, like we talked about last week with Michael Jackson. Like he got beat, but then also had a PBU. Like you can do that, but today was not good. Today was not. It was just not, man. I think, it was really, really, really bad.
Well, let's look at some positive here. Realistically, this is from Keezy, 187 Keezy. What do you think Tariq Woolen's ceiling is?
Oh, it's real high, man. It's real high. I think I always knew it would be high. I just didn't think he'd play this early and play well early. I thought he was going to have some more growing to do, just because he hasn't played a lot of corner. He played a couple years in college. The tape looked really raw, but he can catch. There's that. He is very fast. Very, very, very fast. And he can, he just once his recognition on some stuff gets a little smidge better, and he still has a lot of penalties too. I think he had a couple today. I think he had one. I think he gave up a touchdown and got called for holding, on the same play. Like that's tough. So the ceiling is high. It's going to take a little bit to get there, but that's like an all-pro ceiling. I think just the way he can run and catch and play the ball, like that's it reminds me of Patrick Peterson a little bit, because I contend that Patrick Peterson was such a good athlete in his peak. He could have went both ways. He could have played receiver and played DB, because he was just so good. Feet were good, could jump, could catch. Crazy. Tariq is like that type of athlete to me. So, yeah, that's a special kid. He probably got like an all-pro ceiling. I think it's still going to take a little bit to get there, but yeah, that's what it is.
This one is from at Dennis Gill 10. Are there options to potentially replace Cody Barton?
Nope. At least not on the team. Not on the team.
This one is
the team. There's only Tanner Muse and Nick Ballore really backing them up. You could play you could just play small, I guess, and play like Ryan Neal all the time, but that's tough. You can't really ask Ryan to be taking on pulling guards on 1st and 10. It's a small cat, relative to the people he'd be taking on blocks from. So no, there are not on the team options to replace Cody. If that's what they want to do, they would have to look elsewhere for that.
Speaking of looking elsewhere, this one's from Austin at Reset VII. Now, for my Roman numeral people, VII is what? That's 7, right? Reset 7.
7.
Yeah, there we go. Do you think Seattle would look into trading for or sign a free agent, linebacker-wise, mid-season?
Yeah, they're definitely. So, to my knowledge, how teams do this is they have a board of guys already. They're always scouting other teams' players, and they're always keeping a list or a board, or maybe it's like a Word doc, or no, it's probably an Excel spreadsheet, whatever it is. and they have it like mapped out, ready to go. That's how when somebody gets hurt, they know right. Like Tyler Ott ends up hurting his shoulder. They have a long snapper on deck, ready to work out. Like, so they know these things. I think they're always looking. So yeah, it's possible. I personally do not have like a running list of inside linebackers if they want to go that route. Maybe I'll look that up later in the week. But it's not like every team just got just like spare inside linebackers. It's a hard position. So would they look at it? For sure. Are they just going to give up on somebody like Cody right now? No. And also, I don't think everything's Cody's fault right now either. It's a bunch of people in the defense not playing well. You don't give up 8 yards of play and like 400 plus yards. How many yards did they give up? You don't give up 500 yards of offense because of Cody. Like, it's not just him, you know. So they got to look at everybody, coaches too. So, but yes, to answer the question, would they consider that? Yeah. Who? I don't have a name for you quite yet. I got to keep looking.
This one is from Lane Smith at Lane Vanilla. When do you think there could possibly be a move where Kobe Bryant is outside corner, or are they waiting on Trey Brown to return?
The issue with moving Kobe to outside is you don't have a nickel, right? Because Justin Coleman still has that calf issue, so you can't do it now. So you would have to answer your question. To answer that question, I would say it's possible to move I'm getting these guys mixed up. It is possible to move Kobe over there to the outside again. However, you need someone in the nickel, and you need a backup nickel, really, just in case something happens to Justin. You know, you got to be prepared for everything. You need at least 2 guys at every spot. So yep. I don't think that's coming soon. I do think Kobe Bryant could do it. I think he's actually going to be, he's got a high ceiling too. I think the rookie class is good. I do. But I think some of that is potential, you know, where that versus actually producing. There's a lot of potential in the rookie class, but potential doesn't always win you games. Potential sometimes give 500 yards. 500 is a lot, man. Like, they're giving up a lot of yards right now, a lot of points, you know, and really, really, really tough. But yeah, I think it would have to get really, really, really ugly for them to move Kobe. But even then, they can't do it until Justin gets healthy. And I think they would like to see what Artie looks like healthy, Trey Brown, maybe give Sidney Jones a run against the Saints. Like, I think they would try all of that before moving Kobe Bryant.
This one is from Panda Hombre. Is defensive tackle, is Darrell Taylor a fish out of water in this new scheme? Or can he become the difference maker the Seahawks need?
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about that. I was talking to someone who really knows like defense. They actually happen to know the Seahawks defense pretty well too. And I was asking about like 50. I was like, hey, what do you think 52? Showing some plays and stuff like that. And like, yeah, they actually said that dude looks like a fish out of water, and that was interesting. That's interesting. Somebody used that in their question because that was coming from someone who like knows defense at a much higher level, you know, than I do. And for them to use that phrasing is pretty serious. I think he can figure it out. I think once he got to get comfortable as a pass rusher, I think it's almost like the inverse. I think he's like, how do I want to put this? Because let's say Boye Mafe, they thought he was going to start off as a pass rusher. Actually, it's just like Boye Mafe. They thought he was going to start off as a pass rusher and then grow into somebody who could play on you know, early downs. I think Darrell's kind of that way too. Like, get him going as a pass rusher first, and then work him back into some, you know, first, second down, stuff like that. Because right now it's just not clicking. It is just not clicking. I'm not really sure what it is. I think he's healthy, he's fine, you know, confident cat. But I think being a difference maker would help a lot, because right now they really don't consistently have that up front. I don't know what's going on there. He's one of the guys I do think when I say some guys will start playing better, I do think he's one.
Okay.
I think by November, December, we'll see kind of how Darrell looked again right now. But, you know, maybe that's too late at that point. But I do think he's one of the guys who will, if part of your thing is 52 just going to start playing better? Yeah. You know, I can see that. Some of the other guys, not so much.
This one is from Jeff. Could Darrell Taylor, this is going to be a lot of movement here. Could Darrell Taylor replace Cody Barton so he moves to that linebacker spot, and then have Boye Mafe take Taylor's outside spot as a pass rusher? You think Taylor
No.
can be effective in that role?
Yeah, it's like moving Daryl inside. No, I don't think that's again. I think he's got to be a pass rusher. I think you got to get him going as a pass rusher. That's the thing, and that way you can start getting attention to his side and it opens things up for other guys. Because right now there's really nobody on the Seahawks you have to double team. You know, like there really isn't. You know, you put your best guy on Uchenna, but I don't think you have to double team anybody. Like, what did Daryl do today? Daryl have any stats today?
Maybe an assist.
Yeah, he had an assisted tackle. No, it looks like he had a solo tackle. There you go. That's one. But yeah, I think you got to get him getting to the quarterback, man, if nothing else, because I think that'll just spark his game, man. I do. Oh, his tackle is when Jared Goff scrambled out of bounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, boy, that's right. Yeah, no, I think sometimes some of our Twitter questions, like people kind of overreact and slam some players prematurely. I do think the criticisms that DT is getting right now are pretty fair because they're coming from his coaches too, man. Like,
yeah,
the coaches are saying he's not playing good. They're playing other guys more than him. Like, what? There's really nothing more to be said. You know, he just got to start playing better. If not, play Gerald Johnson, play Boye Mafe. Alton Robinson can come back soon. You start playing him. You know, like there are some options there, whereas there are not really a ton of options there if Cody is not more of a difference maker going forward.
All right, let's spin it to the offense. This is from Eric Mock at _Mock Eric. Would Pete and company consider moving Gabe Lucas, that is, back to right guard, or not Gabe Lucas, excuse me, moving Damian Lewis back to right guard with Gabe struggling so much?
Perhaps. I think, man, that's tough. Because I'm with you guys. I don't think that's another guy. That's one of the few guys on offense who's really actually not playing super well is Gabe there. Yeah, they might have to make a change there. I think you can see what Phil Haynes could give you there. But then that's about it. That's the issue. It's just really Phil Haynes. I don't think like you really want Jake Curran there. You guys remember Jake Curran, Pete even said this a few times last year. He was like, hey, he just don't got it at guard. Tackle? Yeah, he's solid. Guard, he don't got it. So maybe that's changed in year 2. I'm not really sure. I haven't seen a bunch of Jake at guard, but that's the only other option, if not for Phil. But I do think that's one of those positions they'll probably get back in the film room and be like, all right, let's open it up at right guard. Maybe Phil could take it. Maybe you move D-Lou over. I think that is down the road, though. I think that would probably come way later. Because right now, I think they're like, we can survive with what's going on now. Whereas with some other spots, probably not. So yeah, I think that's an option, but I think we're probably like 4 or 5 weeks away from something like that happening.
All right. This is from Kong at AllKong90. If Seahawks do not get a high draft pick, do you pay Geno to come back next season, or do you find a way to get a rookie quarterback?
No, I think that's kind of an overreaction to just a good game today. I think the big picture, Geno is playing really well. I'll say that. He's putting up some numbers, and not just like stupid numbers like passer rating and stuff like that. Like his touchdown percentage is good. His yards per attempt is good. Air yards per attempt is now respectable. He's got, I think, the lowest percentage of off-target throws, in the NFL. That's really good. Like, he's being accurate. Now he's pushing the ball downfield. Now he's finding the end zone. So I think, but we need to see it over the course of 17 games. I go back to one of those anonymous quotes from Mike Sando's quarterback tiers in July. They were like, yeah, he's a decent backup, but if you needed him to do it for the whole season, he's probably not going to deliver. So let's see. 4 games in, Geno is not one of the Seahawks' problems. They have some problems. Geno is not one of them. He is not. He is fine. Like I said, you watch the game and ignore the numbers on the guys' jerseys, or you ignore the names and ignore the salaries, and just watch the game. You'd be like, oh, 7 looks fine. Like he has a play or two every once in a while. You're like, well, come on, what are we doing here? Intentional grounding. He has really bad grounding calls. And he threw a Hail Mary to DK today. That had no shot. But to throw it up to DK once a game thing, I could live with that. I could live with just saying, you know what, DK's down there somewhere.
There you go.
Yeah, you know what, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. But yeah, no, I think Geno ain't their issue. I still think we're talking about paying somebody long term. That's going to take. I got to see you for a whole season.
This one is from Patrick Kirshner. Was Russell Wilson holding the offense back in Seattle? Doesn't look good in Denver. Did the Seahawks win the trade, or is it too early to tell?
too early to tell if they want to trade. But I do think that in terms of just style of ball, Pete Carroll will end up being more right. He'll end up looking more right. Because I think both of Pete and Russ had fair arguments in terms of how they wanted to play offense. Pete's going to end up looking more right, I think, in the short term, just because of how well Geno is playing and how low people's opinions are of Geno versus how Pete's was. Like Geno looks as good as Pete told us he was.
Facts.
You know, like he's going to look right there. But no, Russ wasn't holding it back. I do think that. How do I want to put this? I do think that Geno trusts his protection more than Russ ever trusted his protection. Now, I say that, and I have to also acknowledge that Russ had a lot of reasons early on to not trust his protection. He had bad protection there, so I can understand if he was a little jittery, bailing out of pockets, scrambling, whatever, too soon, running into some sacks. Like, he didn't have trustworthy protection for quite a while. You know, and then he eventually got some he could, trust, but not really. Geno actually has some really decent pass protection, I think, and he adjusts well with it. You know, they're getting the ball out quick in some instances. They give help where they need help, but then sometimes Abe and Charles are just being asked to hold up, and they do it. And Geno standing in there trusting for them to hold up. I think that's the big difference between the two, at least through 4 games, as much as anything, is that Geno trusts his protection when you trust it and you can stand in there and make some throws. Like those two in particular over the middle to DK, I think on the first or second drive, maybe the second drive. Like those are, you got to stand in there and trust your protection for those. And I think that's also why Geno's been better than Russ on third downs, because he's standing in there, trusting his protection, and then making it happen.
This one is from 13 Ones. Could Seattle go out and hire a specific coach just for screens? They would just coach screens and maybe at practice call screens, but they need something specific. Could they go out and do that?
No. Defund screen passes. Ban screen passes. Outlaw screen passes. You know how Washington has certain laws specific to their state? We got certain gun laws. We probably have certain abortion laws. We got some voting laws. Probably got laws on the separation of church and state. We got laws on having tobacco and alcohol in the same spot. Can't drink in the strip club in Seattle or in Washington. All these Washington-specific laws that we got, legislators, make it happen. Go there, get a bill signed that says if you run a screen pass as a coach of a football team in the state of Washington, you'll be burned at the stake. Something. You will be stoned, drawn, and quartered. Something. Because you just got to get rid of it. You have to. There's no... Chris, what more do we got to do? What more do they have to see? These screens don't work.
I'm not going to say it. You know where I stand. I say make it work, figure it out, but we're not going to get into that because that could be a whole podcast as to why they should continue to run screens, but I digress. We'll move on because you said burn people at the stake. I get it.
Come on, man. Russ threw a pick 6 on a screen in the playoffs. That should have been the death of screens right there.
This one is from Eric. Tweets are dumb. Has a tight end ever put up more yards against the Seahawks than Hawkinson put up on the Seahawks Sunday?
That is a great question. Was it Eric? Is that who asked that?
Yes.
Great question, Eric. And that forced me to look it up and use my research skills. The answer is yes. George Kittle had 181 receiving yards. That's not supposed to be funny.
Very funny.
George Kittle had 181 yards in week 13, I believe it was last year. The game where Jamal got hurt, by the way. Everybody talking about Jamal don't matter. That happened as soon as he went out, by the way. One of those big plays that George had. So I think that was 181. Hawkins had 179. So the answer is yes. A tight end has done that. Now, some of the guys who have had big games like that against the Seahawks are better than TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson's fine. It's first round pick, I think. But like Mike Evans had like $180 on the Seahawks before. D-Hop had like 224. I think that's the record for someone against the Pete Carroll Seahawks team. But 179 is up there, man. That's rough. For a second there, I think I tweeted it too. It looked like Calvin Johnson snuck in, put on an 88 jersey, and just started balling because, boy, he was unstoppable. Unstoppable today. Buck 79 and 2 touchdowns, and he caught a 2-point conversion. Oof.
This one is from Shiv at Name Shiv. Little funny one.
What's up, Shiv?
Did the Broncos trade for the wrong Seahawks quarterback?
That is kind of no. That is kind of funny because it like there's a world where the Broncos is just like, you know what? Hey, can we have Geno Smith? We want to have him compete with Drew Lock, and then like they just duke it out over in Denver with Nathaniel Hackett and run an offense that's like similarly effective. You know, same thought. You know, they have like Noah Fant, Geno Smith, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, and in a world where all the receivers are healthy, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, like that's a squad.
Yeah,
you know, with a good defense over there. Although I don't think the Raiders defense or the Broncos defense looked very good today. But no, that's a funny one. Shout out to Shiv. Hopefully we're saying that right. But yeah, that's a funny one. Yeah, because I need to watch more of the Broncos, man, because Russ is getting cooked out here.
Yeah, he is.
I thought he his numbers looked okay against the Raiders. I didn't watch the game. But
I thought he played good. He had a couple spurts here and there where he got sacked. Could be an O-line issue, but it's not a Russ. This is Seahawks man-to-man. We are moving on from that,
yes,
man.
Right. Yes.
We're going to stick with the Seahawks here. This one's from Michael. We got, I think, two more. This one's from Michael. It's Mick Newhouse. At Mick Newhouse. Yo, Mike and Chris, how are you feeling about Rashad Penny's performance? Should we expect similar results moving forward? Or is this an incident of just terrible Detroit defense?
A little of both. I think Rashad is really good running the ball. Like, yards per carry is not the end-all, be-all for running backs, but there is a reason that Rashad's yards per carry are good because he can run the ball. Like, when you give him the ball and say run it, like
good things happen.
Yeah, like he's really effective. Here, let me check the leaders in yards per carry right now. Let me see. I'm gonna check because Rashad, what did he average today? Like 8 yards a pop.
Disgusting.
Yeah, man. Like that dude is nasty. Like Rashad didn't just finish the year strong. That's like a vague way of describing what he did last year. Last year, Rashad finished the year as the best back in football. And I'm not joking. Like he really did. Even right now, Rashad is 4th in yards per carry. He's at 5.9 for the year. That's disgusting. The only people ahead of him are DeAndre Swift, who's only played 3 games, Aaron Jones at 6.8, which is also nuts, and then Khalil Herbert's at 6.1 for the Khalil Herbert of the Bears. So, and then it's Rashad, Cordell Patterson, Chubb. Like, whew. Yeah, Rashad is having a really, really, really good year, man. That's just one metric, though. Rashad's doing good in some other ones. But yeah, he just needs more touches. He needs more touches, man. That's it. Now he's going to play some better defenses. Next week will be the test for real. The Saints run defense is legit. Like they can
Cam Gordon, they got some dogs.
Yeah, they got linebackers, they got DBs that can come up and hit, so like they should have beat the Vikings in London today. Yeah, so that'll be the test. But I do think overall Rashad's going to finish as a really good running back. Like when healthy, he's fine. Like think about it, Chris. How many times when's the last time we watched a game and said, "Wow, Rashad looked bad"?
He just, to be honest, for Rashad, it was health. We never got to see him because he's always hurt. But now we're seeing a healthy one, and we saw that last year in the last few games. So I think if the offense continues to play the way they're playing, the offense continues blocking the way they're blocking, I don't see why he can't eclipse 100 yards at minimum. Maybe 85 here. I think he'll be fine. I think one thing that's going to be key for Rashad is mixing up the runs. Last year, he had a lot of big runs on like that zone play where you kind of like read, everyone flows one way, and then he like cuts back. I think that they need to use him more as like a bruiser because he can run. I mean, he's 235, something like that. Like he can run through people as well. So I think that's how they should use him as well. Use him inside more, not always just trying to get him out on the edge because those edge runs, like today was a good example. Those were not really working. Some of the best runs they hit were right, like in those gaps, right through there.
Yeah, like within the tackles. They had some off tackle runs, but it was more like it wasn't like the mid zone, wide zone stuff that they were doing a lot of last year.
We got 2 more, Mike. This one is from Paul Martin at P. Martin, Cato, Texas.
What's up, Paul?
Who has the worst record at the end of the season, Seahawks or Broncos?
That's a fascinating question. I would guess the Seahawks. I would guess. Because I do think at the end of the day, the Broncos have a competent defense and they have Russ. Like that's enough to get wins. That is, as you can see, that's how they've been getting wins. Like I was telling somebody today, look, man, the Broncos probably should have won week 1. Like, they fumbled twice at the 1.
Yeah, what more could you ask for?
That hasn't been done ever. I don't think. The data that I have only goes back to 2000. But I'm pretty sure that's probably never been done ever. Twice in the same game, you fumble at the 1 and lose those fumbles too. So I think that was a little fluky, and also kicking a field goal at the end of that game was so stupid. Like, Russ was probably going to go down there and score, or at least get closer to kick a easier field goal. So I think that I think the Broncos would be a little better record as well, because I just think they're closer to being a complete team. Whereas I think Javonte Williams is hurt pretty bad, but I still think they can run the ball with Melvin, and then they got the weapons. They have Russ, who can go out there and win you some games, and their defense is still decent. So they're closer to being a complete team, whereas the Seahawks, I think, have a really solid offense, and then like a defense that just cannot stop anybody at all.
This last one is from the homie Sam at Sammy C521. How did your fantasy teams do? I played Geno over Russ in my Superflex League, paid out well.
They said, how did my fantasy team do?
Yep.
Okay, let's look. I'm in 4 leagues, which is 4 too many. Where should we start, Chris? We want to start with the one that me and you are in together?
Might as well.
Let's see. I'm gonna win. Nice. Jonathan Taylor got me nothing, so I'm gonna end up 3-1 in the league we're in together, Chris. That's good. I'm in another league where my team name is Seattle Dog, which is nice. I got Fournette right now, who apparently is stinking it up in this Sunday night game. I got Kittle going tomorrow, and I'm up 1. And my opponent only has Mike Evans going right now. So that's going to be close. I'm projected to win because I got Fournette, and then I got Kittle. Tomorrow in my big money league, I'm getting dusted. I'm down 40. I started Mariota. That's why Mariota only had 3 points today.
That'll help you.
Yeah, and I started Gabe Davis. He stunk. Yeah, it was just a bad day for my big money. What's my other one? I'm in another league where I'm up 13. My opponent has Evans and Fournette. And he has Brandon Ayuk tomorrow. And he has the Rams kicker. So I'm projected to get smoked. So I'm 2 for 2 in my 4 fantasy leagues. So there we go.
Ooh, okay. Right now I am in the league that we are in. Start off 1-2, but I'm bouncing back. I'm about to get the dub. I'm up 158 to 130. He has 1 player left, and that 1 player is Leonard Fournette, -3 yards. Not worried. He has a 1% chance of winning. I should be 2-2 by the end of the week. The KJR league, I'm 0-3, but I'm about to get my first win, so I'll be 1-3. Shout out to who stepped up big today. I did not bench Kamara, so that was a 0. But thanks to Hawkinson, he gave me 40 fantasy points today. And Jamal
you got TJ Hawkinson? I didn't know that.
I had TJ. Yeah, 39.9. I rounded up.
Jesus.
Yeah, he did the Seahawks in. And then in my high school league, my O'Day league, from all the homies that went to O'Day with me, I am 2-1, about to be 3-1. Shout out to Kyler Murray and Josh Jacobs, as well as Justin Jefferson. They put on for the city today. Yay, yay. And then my homeboy Deontay's league that I'm in.
Dang, you're in 4 leagues as well?
Yeah. Shout out to Rashad Penny, because I had the decision to make. I said, damn, do I start Marquise Brown or bench him for Rashad Penny? Best move I made. Although Marquise did go off for 20. So my fantasy league, I am going to win every matchup this week.
Yeah, I'm a bad fantasy player. This is an example of how bad Mike is as a fantasy player. I benched Josh Jacobs and Rashad Penny in the same league.
Maybe you weren't coherent. You didn't know what was going on. You stayed out late, maybe in Detroit, kicking it with the homie.
I sent you that one. I'm pretty sure.
I was just trying to be funny.
Yeah, in that league, I ended up starting Antonio Gibson, Kareem Hunt, and Christian Kirk over DJ Moore, Josh Jacobs, and Rashad Penny. So yeah, that was tough. I would have won easily if I started those guys. So yeah, that stunks. Thank you guys for pretending to care about our fantasy teams.
Well, that is another episode of Seahawks Man to Man. We want to thank you guys for rocking with us after the Seahawks destroy offensively the Lions. They went out there and had a great showing, put up 48 points. Unfortunately, defense gave up 45, but you know what? The best thing is they walked out of there with a W, as Jameis Winston likes to throw up.
We didn't talk about it real quick before I get out of here. What did they say on the broadcast specifically about DK having to take a dump?
Well, so when at first everyone thought he was hurt, they were like, "Oh man, damn." I mean, even I was thinking, "Oh wow, something serious." But the way he was sitting on it made me realize maybe it's nothing at all. And then obviously, when they found out, they're like, "Oh, just had to use the restroom." Well, that's good. It was funny. They didn't know kind of what to say of it. They thought it was funny. He had to pee or poop. We just know he had to use the restroom.
If you're getting carded, you got to poop.
I figured that too. One more step and it's a wrap for you, G. That's what I was thinking. But it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. That was quite the move there. So
yeah, I was worried. I seen him getting carted off. I said, "Uh-oh." I just said, "Hey, carted off to the locker room." My mentions went crazy. And then my homie texted me right when I tweeted that. He was like, he's probably getting carted off to go take a dump. I laughed at the text. And then I hit him later. I said, "Hey, how did you know that?" Because like that was before the broadcast did it. That was actually kind of funny. And back-to-back weeks, we've had a drone stop play for a little bit, and then one of the players get carted to the bathroom. Go take a dump. That's funny. DK is a funny cat, man. I mean, when you got to go, you got to go.
No, that's real. When you have to go, you have to go. And he had to go. So I get it.
No, with football players, man, I really get it, because it's like if it's almost there and then let's say you get hit on the field the wrong way,
man.
And then they come out, so you got to just go. That's funny, man. That's DK. That's a funny cat, man. Carded to go use the bathroom.
Only DK.
Yeah, only DK getting carded to use the bathroom, man. That's a funny cat.
Well, again, thank you guys for tapping in with us on the Seahawks Man to Man. We will catch you guys later this coming week with a preview of the Seahawks and the New Orleans Saints, as we talked about a little bit on this show. They got a pretty good defense, but if the offense is rolling like this, Geno, we trust. We'll catch you guys later.
Peace.